kind of get fixated on the outcomes, almost like a perfectionist push that we want it to be absolutely perfect or it's just not at all. And we have those two modes.
We're back with another episode here on a mental health break, and we're bringing on someone who may have the crown for most episodes with me. I know Josh is up there. Debbie, if you're tuning in, you're up there as well. Josh, welcome back to a mental health break.
Thank you, Vincent. It's always a pleasure. And I'm coming for your crown, Debbie.
Well, you've been too kind in coming on all of the shows. And Josh is a master storyteller. He's done a lot of work in the health space, revamping branding for integrated health. He had a great book come on that talks about life in the inner city, I believe, and the mental health challenges related with that. And also, we're going to touch on creativity, as creativity is a huge mental health boost. And Josh has a workshop getting ready to launch to help you with that. So, Josh, I'm excited to have you back here. But before we jump in, let me show love to John Ford with his Empathy Set and his Empathy app in the App Store. Head to empathyset.com to get started on your journey today. And Josh, as you know, you're a professional on this show. Go then, now, and in the future. So let's talk about your mental health journey in general, maybe as a business owner. Walk us through what brought you here today.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I'm a, national best-selling author, storyteller, and the founder and chief narrative strategist for Odd Duck. And we are a storytelling for social change creative consultancy. I've struggled with ADHD. And in fact, Vincent, Odd Duck is actually me learning to embrace that shadow, embrace the challenges with ADHD, and integrate it fully into who I am as a person and who I am as a business. So, I would say the first half of my professional career, I felt that I had to maybe hide a lot of my idiosyncrasies and quirks. I had to keep some of that under wrap for professional settings. When I went out on my own as a consultant and as an agency leader, I realized that a lot of those quirks that I was trying to keep under wraps were some of the biggest strengths and assets that helped me be creative with my clients, with my teams. And, so I just let my freak flag fly and I said, okay, I'm an Odd Duck. That's going to be the name of the company. And I'm leaning all the way in. So it's sort of a full circle. And that in itself has been a pretty healing journey.
Love that, leaning into the mental health challenges to unlock your true self. And once we are our true self, the magic starts to happen. I've learned that with my life as well.
100%. 100%. The thing is, too, Vincent, is we have, as a culture, we tend to pathologize these things, right? And so we look at it as if there is something wrong with us. There was a lot of shame associated with some of the things in how my brain was wired. And part of this journey has been, and part of launching my company has been that those same things that could be seen as deficits can actually be strengths in other settings.
I absolutely love that. Now, what are some things you do to work with your ADHD? Now, everyone, like for my anxiety example, it is what it is. I have it, but I do things to work with it and combat it. Like exercising early in the day is something that's a non-negotiable for me. What are some things you do to work with and now thrive with your ADHD?
Well, I'll answer both on the professional and the personal. So the professional first is, I am very reliant on my team and on, having a virtual assistant, having things structured, having regular check-ins so that I can kind of like looking at the map. You are here, ground myself. Because as you know, one of the things with ADD is that anything bright and shiny might get my attention. And if my team isn't keeping me in check, if my VA and like what we've set out as our ambitious goals aren't in check, I could bring the whole organization with me into, whatever pursuits I have. And so some of these check-ins that I have, we have weekly check-ins, are intended in as much to check in on the health of the agency and where we're going as it is to check myself and say, okay, like, here's what we set out to do and where are we on the path. So that's the professional answer. The personal answer, Vincent, is, I have a pretty solid Qigong Tai Chi routine that I do every day, including a meditation practice for no less than 10 minutes a day. That is just like your workout routine. That is set in stone. And, I even have, Vincent, I even have an Excel spreadsheet. I can say proudly that I am almost at 800 consecutive days of doing Qigong every morning. And I have an Excel spreadsheet that I track every one of the moves that I'm making. And I have an accountability, a Qigong master who I am accountable to.
Good.
And that helps me. And it doesn't get stale because I'm checking in with this Master Gu, who is actually in the Wudang Mountains. And because I'm checking in with him and checking in with the team there, I know that there's enough innovation introduced into the practice as well.
I love everything you said there, the routine, and you have to track everything, the KPIs, right? Your key performance indicators. And shout out to the Loth Center for my incubator program when I got in there, and they made sure that you find the right KPIs to track. And for that journey, you're tracking your movements over time. And 800 days, I mean, pat himself on the back, please. Incredible showing of consistency. There's not many people who can say they've done something for 800 days other than waking up. I mean, you can brush your teeth one day, you don't get gas already. So good for you. And I think if you find something that you love that much and you're passionate about that much, that you have no problem doing it 800 days in a row, because it's not work. It's not a responsibility. You're just happy to do it. So I love that. Can you give us maybe an intro place to start in both of those, the meditation and the Tai Chi, where if someone never done either, where they can learn to get involved today?
Yeah. So the meditation, there are some great apps, some great guided meditations out there for people who are just getting started. I don't rely on those so much anymore, because the goal is to be able to just tune into your own mind and create or facilitate that stillness. The most recent research that I've read, Vincent, says that about 7 minutes a day is enough to set you right, to kind of do some recalibration. I aimed for 10 because, like you, I'm an overachiever. I even want to be more chill than everybody else. So I would say, just as a practice, just sitting with yourself in silence for 30 seconds or a minute and building your way up, that should be sufficient. And even if you're in Taoism, we refer to the monkey mind, which is, our minds are all just like monkeys, jumping from branch to branch and running everywhere and probably even flinging some poop from time to time. And so, your goal in meditation, at least through a Taoist lens, is to chill that monkey mind, to get everything kind of calibrated and settled. And so if you don't think you can do that for an entire sitting of 10 minutes, just sit with a glass of water and drink that water slowly and mindfully. And that will help you kind of acclimate to being comfortable with your thoughts. That would be what I'd say for the meditation piece. I would also shout out to Master Gu, the Taoist Wellness Academy online is phenomenal. And I've been a member there for about a year. There's also the U.S. Shaolin Center, which has been remarkable. And so there's enough stuff online now that you don't have to make a trip all the way to China to start learning some of those practices. And they're very, I would say, user friendly, right? So they don't just start you kind of trying to achieve enlightenment. It's a gradual process.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And it's always great to get some extra value out of our guests for the audience, where remember, what works for some will never work for everyone. So I hope one of these new tools can be added to your tool chest. But now, I previewed it in the beginning of the show. Creativity, incredibly important for our mental health, whether you're a writer like me, creating with words, a chef creating with food, right? We have to find ways to be creative. We have 60,000 thoughts every single day, give or take, where we can just act in a creative way to shift ourselves from these negative thoughts. You went ahead and put together an incredible event. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so it's we're going to be launching over the summer. tune into the website oddduck.io for more details to come. You know,
If you're watching the
yes,
video or the live
yes,
stream.
sir, yes, sir. Whew. Yeah, and I would say, a large part of what we're trying to build out and we're trying to do is that creativity isn't just for so-called creatives, right? You and I are in a content creation space. We do that a lot, and that's sort of our bread and butter, if you will. But there are business leaders, there are industry heads. We are trying to be as industry agnostic as possible, because in order to navigate the uncertainty of life, of the business world, of the economic world, of the political world, of the technological world right now, with AI kind of looming on the horizon and poised to disrupt every industry. Creativity is something that AI right now can't replicate, not in the same way that our human brains do, especially with, kind of like emotional resonance and being able to tap into both that compassionate space and the emotional connection space. So we've been building out a curriculum specifically designed to be industry agnostic, not just for creatives, on how to develop creative problem solving skills overall. And it's been a journey to get there, Vincent, over the last year, just participating in workshops, seeing what the most recent literature is on this, seeing what practices work and what don't, attending facilitated trainings for facilitators and things like that. Got to pet a unicorn, which was pretty amazing. So, checked that off my bucket list.
There for a second.
I was just going to gloss over that. Yeah.
Let's talk a little more about that.
That was one of the more remarkable experiences in this creativity journey is, that we have a tendency to limit our imaginations primarily to either seeing or kind of visualizing. I'm a storyteller, you're a storyteller and a writer. So the default is often to sort of think in narratives or to think of how to piece these things together. But the same way that we have access to all of our senses in the waking world, sight, sound, taste, smell. We have all of that internally as well. If we can tap into the imaginal space using creativity tools, we can access those same senses internally as well. And so there have been a number of experiments that I have been able to participate in and work on and really hone so that I can facilitate them to be able to tap into that imaginal space, tap into the full scope and scale of our individual creativity. And that included, Vincent, being able to pet a unicorn. I haven't pet a dragon yet, so that's going to be next on my bucket.
You have to go film the new Game of Thrones series with them and work with the AI creators there. But I've had a lot of fun catching up so far, Josh. What's next for you other than the creativity school, the creativity events? What's going on the rest of the year?
Yeah. So we just completed working with a group called Frog Grip Investments. We just completed a series of learning fables. These were comic books focused around an intergalactic space frog who is the mascot of Frog Grip Investments. And they're getting ready to launch their curriculum as well for entrepreneurs and business leaders who want to kind of tap into, learn some of the problem solving skill sets that every entrepreneur faces. So we developed a whole workbook series and a curriculum working with them, finding meaning, the right mindset, all the stuff that you're always on about as well. And so we collaborated with them to develop this curriculum. They're getting ready to launch their first cohort in a couple months as well. And as part of that, we developed an entire series of 7 comic books, which are learning fables, business fables that followed several kind of journeys into, the startup world, guided by this intergalactic space frog gripper. They're pretty awesome. We worked with a really dynamic team of artists and writers and comic book developers. And there's going to be an animated short as well, probably about a 7-minute animated short that just kind of ties the whole story together.
Well, it's safe to say you are not lacking in the creativity department, bro. Anyone out there is looking for this, definitely stick around for a few more minutes, get his contact information so you could sign up for the event. But before I let you go, as you remember, I always like to round out with asking for advice for anyone who's going through a tough time right now. You offer them.
Well, I think this is important for those of us who are wired with anxiety. I have a dual diagnosis of ADHD and generalized anxiety disorder. And I know that's something that you and I share as far as the anxiety piece. And there's a great quote by Alex Honnold, who's a free solo guy. He's the one who climbed Yosemite El Capitan or El Capitan with, when he was talking about his success, Vincent, he said, I attribute my success to having very highly ambitious goals that are loosely held, right? Ambitious goals that are loosely held. And when I heard that, it resonated with me. It stuck with me. It's stuck with me ever since. And I think those of us with any kind of anxiety, we kind of get fixated on the outcomes, almost like a perfectionist push that we want it to be absolutely perfect or it's just not at all. And we have those two modes. Once I kind of integrated that sort of refrain into my practice, it opened up a whole wealth of opportunities and pursuits for me because I wasn't so fixated on the absolute outcome exactly how I pictured it, but realizing that there's a whole spectrum of things that can be achieved in between there.
Well, you're truly inspirational. You're amazing. I got my show notes here going wild as they always do when we get here together. He's a great person to add to your network. Remember, he challenged us today to use our mental health challenges to become our true self and thrive. Starting places for Tai Chi, starting places for meditation. That was great. And why we need to tap into our creative juices. I absolutely love that. Josh, now, as promised, where can we find you online? Where can we say hello? And of course, sign up for your creativity event this summer.
Absolutely. So you can reach out on LinkedIn, Josh Gryniewicz, Gryniewicz. It's up there on the screen. But if you're clunky on your spelling, Odd Duck is a lot easier. So ODDDUCK.io. That's my website. And if you mention this show, we'll give you 10% off the admission and just sign up for our newsletter and drop that in.
Love it, man. Well, thank you for the kind offer, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day for yet another show. We'll remember to put a couple of them in the show description. We won't overwhelm you with all of them. He's been kind enough to check in with our audience, keep you up to date with everything that's going on. And this is a mental health break. Please remember to subscribe if you enjoy the show for the next mental health advocate to automatically show up in your queue. My name is Vincent A. Lansing. You can find me anywhere online by Googling my name. And with that, we are signing off today. Josh, thank you so much for stopping by from Chicago all the way out here in Florida.
Thanks, Vincent.